On tonight's episode, we are going to talk about how rich white people need to stop trying to find the Titanic because it's not working out for them.
No,
No.
they found it a while ago. They just think people should stop spending a lot of money going on uh shoddy trips is what it comes down to.
So the thing about that is, and we're really not going to talk about it. It's just
No.
the people that are doing these things, like, pay $250,000, $250,000 to go down there.
They're also billionaires too, by the way.
I get it, but then
Yeah. It's like a drop. That's like $5 for them.
they're using a $20 Logitech controller from
Yo,
the back bin of GameStop.
that's what gets me. If I'm ever in a vessel that's going either high in the air or deep down in an ocean where I can't like safely swim out of it, it better be controlled by something other than the same thing that I use when I play Nintendo. Like it
Yeah.
just, I'm not, at least make it look different or tell me it's different. It's just, that is, and plus I mean, I know we're not going to talk about it, but the company had, like, they had complaints. Like the former employees were fired because they said, we don't think this is safe. So,
we
I mean,
saw
hopefully they said that they heard like
knocking or
knocking. So hopefully they get found and,
yeah, the company that made it did those people that are in that vessel worse than the Phoenix Suns did Chris Paul. So we'll talk about that. NFL gambling policy, like, now we have some official things, so we'll kind of go over that and what we like about it, what we don't like about it, and then we will also play a game of over, under, and properly rated. Bert, that controller that submarine is using isn't from GameStop. It's from Funkoland.
Sports.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Stuff About Sports. My computer's laggy, so I'm just going to keep talking. And
go for it. We can hear you just fine. It's fine.
Cool. You don't need to see me. Welcome to Stuff About Sports. We are presented by the mighty Give Us a Shot Network. I am Germ. That is Bert. We're here to talk another week of sports, Bert.
Yeah.
And I want to first check in on my friend, my brother, because it is Mental Health Month. There's a lot of things going on. It's Juneteenth, which for some reason my town is not recognizing as a federal holiday, even though it is. And we didn't get paid overtime, so it's something I might want to bring up at the next town forum. But shout out to my employer. They're giving us all raises, so I can't complain too much. So well deserved for us. It is Pride Month, obviously.
Yeah.
And so even if you are not LGB plus, then they're saying Pride. I've introduced my 6-year-old son to Dragon Ball Z, and he's all about it. So we are celebrating Saiyan Pride this month, and it's also Men's or Mental Health Month, specifically also for men. Bert, I went to see a therapist today.
Nice.
Yeah, bud, I needed it, man. There's a lot going on, and I am not ashamed to say I needed just somebody to talk to, and so I had my first appointment this morning when I got off shift, and I had a really good time, really good conversation, and I will continue to keep going. Go talk with Marcus. Dwayne Marcus checking in. What's up, bud? So yeah,
that could be therapy too with Go Talk. No, man, look, that's awesome. Especially in the line of work you're in. To be honest with you, I mean, I honestly think that's look, everybody should go. If you need someone to talk to, but I mean, you deal with some heavy shit on a daily basis.
Yeah, bud. It's it's a lot. So and it's hard to then you got the normal home stuff that happens, and then you're trying to separate home and work, and it gets tough. So I wanted to shout out to people who may need therapy, may not, or whatever, or know somebody that does. There's no shame in it. I went, and I probably will continue to go. Actually, I will go. My next appointment's July 10th. I'll be in Jersey, so I'll have to do it via FaceTime or video conference. So I'll be looking forward to that and making that part of my regular routine.
Nice, man. I'm proud of you. That's awesome.
Thanks, man. I was trying to seamlessly take it to sports. So another type of people who may need therapy are the gamblers in the NFL, Bert. Because gambling's bad. Not okay.
Mm,
Gambling's not bad. It's fun, but irresponsible. It can get dangerous for some people, right?
yeah.
You have to know, just like everything else, you have to know your limits. I'm not a big drinker, but I like to enjoy drinks, and I know my limit. I know, I definitely didn't know my limit the other day. I drank like 36 beers in like a 12-hour span. It was real bad. Part of the reason why I went to therapy. Uh, but you have to know your limit. And the NFL just dropped this gambling policy.
Mhm,
And then so obviously people are tearing it apart. The Detroit Lions, who we're going to start doing our prediction shows that both of us, I think, predict they're going to win the NFC North. It
mhm.
slipped my mind that like they have some players that are not going to, they're going to miss like half the season.
Yeah.
Namely Jamison Williams, their number one receiver, who missed a bulk of last season because of injury. Now he's going to miss at least half of this season because gambling, which you know depending on how you feel about it, uh, is either good or bad. But do you have the policy up? I had it up, and for
I
some reason,
do,
all right, go ahead, run
at least,
through it.
like, bullet points. I mean, so main takeaways: don't bet on the NFL, don't gamble at your team's facility while traveling for a road game or staying at a team hotel, don't have someone bet for you, don't share team inside information, don't enter a sports book during the NFL playing season, and don't play daily fantasy football. Um So, I mean, long short of it, just don't bet on football and during the season, is what
Yeah,
it comes down to. Now, when I originally read this, there are some gaps, right?
yeah,
So don't play daily fantasy football, but they didn't mention anything about regular fantasy football, like I guess more long term. Obviously it's tough to enforce, don't have someone bet for you. Like how would they know? Um
yeah, right,
I get like don't bet on the NFL, don't gamble on, at your team's facility. I mean, there are work policies for normal Joe Schmoes like myself and Germ. Like, hey, don't gamble at work. Like, just don't do it. Um, I think the biggest piece here, which probably should be, well, we'll put it at number two, up like right below, don't bet on the NFL, is don't share team inside information. I think
right,
it's easily the biggest one, right? Especially if you, I mean, if you're if you're trying to let your, your boys or, your friends know who, if you're on a team, like, you mentioned the lines, like who's out that day or like what is the team looking like? Realistically, it's, you know, um, Jared Goff feeling like he's gonna throw for four or like, it's
yeah.
just like that stuff I think is basic. It's just insider information through and through.
Well, yeah, like don't tell your cousins that, hey, Jared Goff isn't going to play next week, so don't pick him up in daily fantasy.
Mhm.
That. So I do understand that. Like, and I guess to your point about regular fantasy, I mean, don't bet on the NFL. So I'm
Oh
assuming
yeah.
it's the number one thing. So I'm going to assume it's like all encompassing, right?
Yeah.
Don't now. There's a little read between the lines. I think they can bet on other sports like
Yeah.
baseball, basketball during the season. But I mean, it seems pretty black and white. Don't bet on the NFL. Period. Don't do it.
Mhm.
While you're on the clock, essentially, not in away games, not any of this. Don't enter a sports book. May be hard for the Raiders. I mean, they're in Vegas. Like if they want to go, some of these big casinos, betting
Yeah.
places are also restaurants and things of that nature. So how
Yeah.
does that work? That's one I would like a little bit more clarity on. Even if you're, I guess the away teams will have the hotel. They might be confined to. I'm sure some of these nice hotels the teams are in have restaurants, but what do the
Mhm.
Raiders do? Well, and is this only and that is that only during the season? Like obviously they can hopefully they can go inside these places and do all these things
Yeah.
when the season's over. Obviously they can't bet on the NFL because it's not in play. Can you do it if your team is out of the playoffs and there's still playoffs going on? Are you allowed to now bet?
I
I,
mean, my
I
initial reaction is, I mean, going back to point one, like you said, don't bet on the NFL, but like, I don't know. I don't really see him harm in this. It's just, look, you're
oh
never
no, there
going
we go.
to,
There we go. More details. Don't ever bet on any NFL game, not even $1. Your team's games, another team's games, which is, I guess,
Mhm.
if you're out of it, outcome, points scored, parlay, prop, future bets. So literally zero betting on the NFL. Period. That includes the draft, the combine, the Pro Bowl, NFL flag events, and even the NFL honors. So they're not playing. Don't they?
You
If they're
can't bet on
NFL,
the Pro Bowl.
yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts.
First off, listen, You know what? I don't like this. I'm all for
Oh,
it. Don't bet on your own team or the match you're going into. I
mhm,
get that because you can personally have an effect in the outcome of it.
yeah,
Um, but not betting on anything else, like even other teams, it's like, come on. Like what and you can go down the list, like don't share team inside information, don't receive inside information. So if you have friends on other teams giving you inside information to place those bets, I mean, it's not foolproof, right? It's for me, it kind of goes back to the Pete Rose thing. Like,
yeah.
yeah, he bet on his team to win. They never took losses. They never shaved points. They never did anything like that. So I think as long as you stay away from those that have a direct outcome of the contest, then yeah. But I mean, as far as I don't know, just no betting altogether, even on Pro Bowl, that's a little extreme and ridiculous in today's world. But I don't know. It's the NFL. It's the no fun league, man. They just don't want any of this.
If only the NFL cared as much about domestic violence and sexual assault as they do gambling. I mean, it'd
We'd
be a
live in
great world.
a world with flying cars by now.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. So I guess but gambling's an easy fix for them. They can basically don't bet on the clock, don't bet on the NFL. After
Mhm.
that, we really don't care what you do. So it'll be interesting to see what happens now that there's concrete rules. I would have liked to see with these rules consequences, right? I don't
So I was
like
just about to ask that. Did they list out what first
not
time
that I've
offense,
seen.
second time offense, and all that? Because that's where the NFL gets in trouble
Yeah,
because they have their policies and they do their investigations. You just mentioned domestic abuse or any type of assault, and it's been such a sliding scale of consequences
yeah,
that you would have thought for sure they'd have it down pat by now. I would think that when going into something like this, they have even at bare minimum of first offense, second offense, but more importantly, I think setting the consequence based off amount that was bet and or won as a
yeah.
result. I mean, I don't know. We're just spitballing this shit right here, and it seems like we can do a better job. So I don't understand why they haven't released any of this yet.
So just you know, Calvin really bet $1,500. This is what he got suspended a whole season. He got one whole season because he was the first one. Got
Hmm.
a whole season for a $1,500 bet he placed.
Hmm.
Stanley Berryhill, 6 games. He's the one of the Lions guys. 5 of these, the next 5 names are all Lions players. Stanley Berryhill, 6 games. Jamison Williams, 6 games. Quintez Cephas, he got a whole season. So I would like to know exactly what his reason was. CJ Moore got one whole season, and Shaka Tony got one season. And then there's an Isaiah Rogers Sr. Don't know what team he
Hmm.
plays for, but he's also being suspended, but they haven't given him his suspension yet. So it just says TBD.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming this is to all NFL personnel and not
Mhm.
just players. At least I
Yeah.
would hope so. I would think anybody working for the NFL, whether you're an official to offices to
Mhm.
even the NFL in itself and their headquarters would have to abide by these rules. I don't see why it would be exclusive to just players, or at least a
Right.
form of these rules over to them. And if it doesn't, that's hypocritical in itself too. What's to
Yeah.
stop somebody from having more or less insider information, someone who's on the actual team, right? I mean, if you're training staff, if you're anybody a part of the team or even a HQ, and then I don't know. Like I said, there's so many rules that don't share inside information. It's like, all right, well, what if you're catching up with your folks and you're like, hey, practice was good.
Mhm.
I'm concerned about me being 100% or someone being 100%. Next thing you know, mom or pops goes to their friend like, hey, no, we're gonna place a bet on
Yeah.
this as a result of what I just found out. It's just gray. There's gray area. There
Yeah.
is.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the NFL. Just thought it was interesting that, hopefully, I wish they would have done this last year. It probably would have saved the Lions a whole bunch of players.
I
So,
was say a little bit more clear in the policy. They might have a team to field this year.
as far as I can tell, they're just treating it as all conduct. So I guess punishments are case by case, as you said. It depends on the amount, the type of gambling you're doing. Obviously, if you're gambling on your own team, that's worse than if you're gambling on some other, the Jags London game versus
Yeah.
whoever. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens there. It'll be very very interesting. Bert, before we get to Chris Paul, before I was researching the show, I wanted to ask you this at the beginning, but we kind of went off on a tangent about submarines. Uh, I use the Waze app to get around,
Mhm.
and I noticed today Roger Federer, you can pay to have Roger Federer be your turn-by-turn direction person. I would
Can
never
you
do that,
really?
but yeah, like Snoop Dogg has done it before. There's
Yeah,
other famous,
I know. So the only time I've ever used Waze,
Mhm.
and this might shock a lot of people, or people just might hate me for this next statement. I use Apple Maps. I'm an iPhone guy. That's why. I
Well,
don't even
hold on.
use Google
We got
Map because they
something.
have
Okay.
betrayed me. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I used once, and that was when you can get Morgan Freeman to narrate.
Mm,
And I was like, okay, well, we're gonna use this until this trial runs out. But I've heard that Christina Aguilera, Jonas Brothers, all
yeah,
of these. Cookie Monster was one of
right.
them. Yeah,
I was going to ask you who in like the sports world would you want giving you turn-by-turn directions?
that's a good one. John McEnroe comes to mind. Only if you do make a wrong turn, I want him yelling at you.
Yes.
Like, come on, you can't be serious. Uh,
That'd be funny. That's funny. That's a good one.
yeah.
Stephen A. Smith would probably be a good one just because like keeps you on your toes. Like, what are you doing? Make it right.
Shannon Sharp,
Yeah. Shannon
too.
Sharp would
Yeah,
be great. Shannon
yeah.
Sharp. I thought about I thought Tony Romo. He's like,
Oh yeah.
I don't know, Jim. Make it right.
Tony would be good.
Tony would be a good one. He's like,
Yeah.
I think he said, I think in the next 3/4 of a mile, you might want to turn left there. I
Mhm.
don't know, Jim. Turn left. Like I would love that all the time. That would be
Yeah,
great. Tony,
I mean, obviously, a lot of the, like, older ESPN personalities too, like, you just wanna,
yeah.
like, back, like, man, you can go on and
Yeah.
on. I mean, as far as actual athletes, I mean, Tony Romo was a good one.
You could
But
do
I
it with
mean,
AI, man. They got Drake making songs that he's not actually making. So I mean, give me Stuart Scott. Give me somebody, give
oh,
me
yeah.
somebody that would be good. Marshawn Lynch would be another good one. Like
Marshawn Lynch would be great,
yo,
yeah.
turn here, dog, so you don't get fined. Like I would
Yeah,
love to hear him like on doing
man,
turn.
yo, he
He'd
may
be
hear
good at
this,
it.
and he may contact Waze and be like, "Time to earn me some money."
You'll get
He's ridiculously smart when it comes down to what he's involved in.
mhm.
So, hey, Marshawn, make that happen.
You'll get my 5.99 easily if Marshawn Lynch
Right.
became, So I love the Ways app. Ways is great. Uh, big news in the sports world: Chris Paul getting traded from the Phoenix Suns. There was talk that he was going to get waived, and this is not a trade analysis thing. I really don't care about the trade, but in a week where Nuggets head coach Mike Malone up there taunting LeBron James, looking like a washed up white rapper with his chain. He's drunk, making, hey, I
Mhm.
got Jokic and he's taking over the league. And, people are caught up in that. And then, like, all of a sudden, Phoenix takes away all the funny and the feel good and trades, talks about waiving Chris Paul, but it not really waiving him in a sense where they were kind of letting him know that we're gonna stretch your contract, we're gonna waive you, but then re-sign you at a more team friendly so we can build this roster. Which he's been very involved in the season, and but then all of a sudden he gets traded to the Washington Wizards of all teams for Bradley Beal, and it just for some reason, Bert, I don't know how, and I know you're not a big basketball guy, so
Mhm.
just want you to. This is not a basketball thing. This is people seem to forget that Coach Monty Williams had a losing record in Phoenix before Chris Paul got there. And that team was not winning until he got there, got them to the finals at one point. And for them to treat him, a top 10 player of this generation,
Mhm.
top 3 point guard of all time, for him to find out that he got traded on a plane ride, not giving him the courtesy of talking to him face to face or leading him to believe that we're going to try to work a way to either trade you somewhere that you can be happy that can help us or keep you, which what he wanted to do is stay in Phoenix. None of that happened. It just made me. I get that we talk about all the time, sports is a business, we understand that, but it's a cold, cruel ecosystem that
Mhm.
the NBA is now showing us. Like, it really doesn't matter that you are this generational player. We got a player that is 8 years younger than you, and we're trying to win. And be damned that you're a legend. Be damned how you help this franchise. We don't care about you. And it just made me, as a fan of the sport, maybe not exactly a fan of the Suns or Chris Paul, but as a fan of the sport, left a really bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it was last show or the show before, whatever it was, we were talking about live, and
Mhm.
I mean, I really just put my, staked my claim, put my stake in the ground, and said, no matter what, from this point forward, I will never be on league or ownership side because it is just a money game or a win
Mhm.
game with them, which I guess, but there has to be a level of respect, right? And you just laid
Yeah.
it out perfectly. A man who is, top in our generation of watching basketball. You said top three point guard, and the fact that he made it known that he wants to stay in Phoenix, try to help them build and win a championship. And then next thing you know, they're like, now we're good. And he finds out on a plane, which
Yeah.
tells me one of two things. One, it truly is just business when it comes down to a lot of these leagues and owners, which I think is disgraceful if you have these guys that are devoting all this time and energy. And yes, I understand they're getting paid, but to your organization, but also to like, in the back of our minds, we're like, how could this be? Like, was there something we didn't know about it? Was there beef somewhere? Like, is this
Right.
not how it played out at face value? Like, what is happening right now? And it's super shitty. It is so. If I ever found out that I was like, let's traded organizations or even just being let go, which I know sometimes happens via email, text message, tweet, what have you, while I'm en route to something else, I'd be like, damn, not even a call to tell me what's up. Like, that's not
Yeah.
cool.
Steve Waldman was checking in.
Steve.
Steve, the Mets dropped another one today. Doesn't feel good. Worst record since April 22nd. The Mets have the third worst record, only behind the Royals and the lowly Athletics. And we easily have what, triple their salary. I
Hmm.
mean, at least I know the Athletics for sure. I don't know what the Royal salary looks like,
Hmm.
but I know that the Athletic salary isn't even over 100 million, and ours is like 300 million. So I mean, yeah, it's bad out here for Mets fans. But yeah, Bird, the interesting part to me was not really about the trade. The trade worked out great for Phoenix. They have, we'll see. The problem with Phoenix is going to be all of their salaries tied up to 5 players. They're already 30 million over the salary cap, so they're going to pay a lot in luxury tax. There's 12 people on a roster, so I mean, they're going to have a hard time filling out that roster with meaningful contributors. You'll obviously get vets that, they're very top heavy in terms of starting fives. I mean, they're going to score a shit ton of points. The problem is they have a very thin line of, very thin margin for error. One injury is going to derail that thing. And
Yeah.
so Bradley Beal, last 4 years, I don't think he's played a full season. I mean, he's good for 40 games. I get that he's only 20. Well, I should say only 29, but he's 29 years old, but having these injuries is mounting up. Kevin Durant, I don't want to, I won't call him injury prone, but ever since he tore his Achilles a few years ago, he's just had bad luck with his legs. And so he's always missed chunks of time. But they're all very good players, like Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant are all top 15 players. I don't know if Beal's a top 10 player, but he's top 15 somewhere. And so,
Mhm.
I mean, to have that 3 players that can get you 30, 40 points on any given night, you're always going to have a chance, but they're the same thing that hurts all super teams in all sports. Depth. The moment an injury happens, you don't got anybody to come back off the bench to help fill in gaps if you miss a large chunk of time, is going to hurt you. So hopefully Phoenix can get that figured out. On the Chris Paul front, there's talks that the Wizards are probably just going to buy him out. They just wanted to get out of Bradley Beal's contract. They're looking for a full rebuild. Kyle Kuzma, who was their other good player, opted out of his contract, so he's a free agent. And Kristaps Porzingis looks like he's going to be traded to the Boston Celtics. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Chris Paul if he does indeed get bought out. I think they're trying to work out a trade where he gets rerouted. I believe he wants to go back to the Clippers. Or well, I guess it doesn't matter. LA, Lakers or the Clippers. I'm sure he'd be fine playing with LeBron. He's been trying to get that done, but
Yeah.
LeBron does. LeBron. See, it is the Los Angeles LeBrons. The Lakers don't have money like the Clippers do, so it may be hard to work out a trade to the Lakers. But
How
we'll
many
see.
years do you think CP has left, though?
See, that's the other thing. This
He's been
happened.
in it a while. That's
This
why I
salary,
asked.
this type of trade, salary dump trade, getting rid of the old guy for the young guy trade already happened to him from Houston going to Oklahoma City. And And then from, Oklahoma City was like, holy shit, Chris Paul's good again. He had like this
Mhm.
career resurgence, which got him this really good gig where he was in Phoenix, the contract he earned in Phoenix. And he was, like I said, brought him to the playoffs. He was good for them. Can you replicate that? I don't know. But much like you can't replace his basketball mind. He's also the president of the Players Association. He's
Mm.
very tied in to, I don't know if he still is. I know at one point he was, but he's very tied into the basketball community. He's like having a coach on the court. You can't replace that. There has to be value in that for a team that's like, he would be great on the Sixers. If we lost James Harden, I would not be mad at bringing in CP3 for the right type of money with other contributor, because we need some shooters and some defense. Steve Waldman says the Oakland Athletics estimate payroll in 2023 is $60 million. I believe that's what we're paying Scherzer, like just one player on our team. So,
Yeah.
Steve Waldman, what's your panic meter on the Mets? I know a lot of people are telling me it's been June. They were yelling at me, Bird, about the clips I've been putting for weeks now, telling the truth about the Mets. They don't like the truth around here, but
No, it's all sunshine and rainbows until August, and then they all start jumping on the hate wagon because they finally realize it themselves. I mean, I don't know. Look, to say to hit a panic button is strong terminology to use, I guess, when you're still in June. But to the same point, I mean, you have two aces that you paid, two aging aces approaching the age of 40 that you paid millions to produce. And when they're not producing, and trust me, anybody knows about paying millions to baseball players that don't produce, it's Yankee fans.
right.
So, I mean, there has to be an element of hitting a panic button somewhere. And you know what? They just don't like that. You're right. That's what it comes down to.
Obviously, they're not fans of the show, because if they did, they would know that we have a monopoly on the truth around here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we just tell it like it is. Being objective fans or being better fans. It's okay to shit on your team if they deserve it. It's okay to criticize your team when they deserve it. Just like it's good to believe in your team. Nobody said I don't believe in the Mets. I'm telling you what it is. We're not good. We lost our 40th game of the season today, Bert, 2-4 to the Houston Astros. At this point, we didn't hit our 40th loss last year until August 12th. So we're already a month and some change ahead of schedule in the loss department, which is not good. Not good at all.
Against World Series champion Houston Astros, which I think gives you somewhat of a pass. But, I mean, they're not a terrible club. They're not a great club right now. So who knows? Hey, did you see what the Athletic put out, the player vote for if the MLB were to expand to 32 teams, where the next team should be? Did you see that?
I didn't. No, I did not see that.
So they pulled active players in the Major League Baseball to see what is the best city for expansion, because Rob Manfred had come out and said eventually he wants to get to 32 teams down the line.
Okay.
And the city that was voted the most upon with 69% of the votes was Nashville.
Nice.
Yeah, nice on two accounts. So Nashville was the top choice, and then 10% of the players voted Montreal. So, bring the Expos back.
Bring the Expos back.
And then in your neck of the woods, Charlotte, Austin, Portland, Vancouver, and Salt Lake City. Charlotte wouldn't be terrible either.
So I'm thinking in terms of baseball. Nashville, Tennessee, I would think would be a good baseball city.
They have two other. I mean, they have the Predators and they have the Titans, right? So
so our brother show, literally our brother show, The Divide, was just talking about this when they were talking about Oakland going to Vegas and how Oakland lost all of their sports teams. And Corey, as much as we like to make fun of him around here, brought up a good point. When you talk about these sports cities, we're not shitting on the city itself, but you have to be able to sustain sports franchises. Just because Oakland is a well-known city in America doesn't make it a good. They can't sustain sports teams. San Diego went through this. San Diego's great. Yeah. They can't sustain sports teams. Like the Padres are lucky that they have all this money, but the attendance for the Chargers, you have to pick a city that is well-rounded, right? That, Detroit has done a lot of losing over the years. Since the 90s, they haven't really been relevant in terms of winning or losing or winning. So, but fans show up. New York's like that. Mets suck. Look at it, but they're showing up. They're showing up. I mean, the Yankees are the Yankees, but even you got the Rangers, the Brooklyn Nets, the Knicks were the most valuable NBA franchise for the last 20 years, and they haven't won a goddamn thing since I was a child. Since literally since Chris Childs two-pieced Kobe Bryant in the Garden that one year. They haven't been good since Allen Houston, and so, but yet New York is a good sports city. I mean, no
Yep.
matter they got everything you need there. Now, Aaron Rodgers is there. The New York Football Giants is always a
Mhm,
staple.
mhm.
They just have it. They have it all together. California, L.A.,
Yeah.
Miami. It's just some of these cities are
I
just
mean,
built to sustain
Chicago,
sports. Chicago,
Dallas,
yeah.
I mean, Baltimore, DC, like these are teams that they have multi-franchises that just sustain. And yeah,
Mike says, "Glad someone listens to Corey because I don't." Yeah, I know.
yeah,
It was just by happenstance. He was playing in the background, but my ears perked up when he said that. I said, "Yeah," because I actually agreed with Corey, which is rare because I rarely do.
very
Um,
rare.
Steve Waldman says that his group realistic Met fans and the meter is pretty high. It should be. It's okay to call it what it is. I don't understand this obsession with fans who think that they have to be optimistic all the time. Hey guys, guess what? There's no such thing as magical optimism. You being happy and optimistic about your team isn't, in fact, going to make them play better.
Dude,
It's okay. It's okay to say they suck right now.
I don't
It's okay to do
understand
that.
why build up the heartbreak. Why sit here and hold out hope that things could turn around?
Yeah,
Why not just cut it down and be like, hey, you know what? Not our year. And then
yeah,
if they do what the Phillies did last year and end up squeaking in and making it to the World Series, then great,
yeah.
celebrate.
Hell yeah.
But but right now, just be call for what it is. Hey, we suck. We're not doing great, and if we don't pick it up, it's going to be an early season for us.
Somebody came out with a stat saying if the Mets wanted to reach 90 wins from this point on, they would have to win like 80% of their series, like 2 out of 3. I was like, they haven't even done that all year. Like, I mean, there's no way. There's literally no way. Steve Waldman, breaking news. Henry, help me out, Brett.
Henrik Lundqvist. Yeah, he was yeah, I'll talk about that during my game ball. But yeah, Henrik
Ooh,
Lundqvist was inducted
spoiler.
first time eligible on the ballot and named to be a part of the 2023 NHL Hall of Fame class. And he'll be inducted in November and actively
Shout.
looking into possibly making a Toronto trip to go see that. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, see, yeah, you should do that. I'll go. Fuck it, let's go to Toronto,
Yeah.
man.
Canada. Yo, we can stop at Buffalo on the way through. Maybe the Bills have a home game
Oh,
that Sunday. Bills
oh.
game, induction ceremony Monday night.
Listen, don't threaten me
Jesus.
with it. Don't threaten
I
me
was
with
gonna
a good
say, yeah,
time.
I'll
I
start
would,
saving for bail money now.
yeah. Oh my gosh, let
Yeah.
me tell you, I will be
Quick Google
drunk.
search. How expensive is bail in Canada? Like it's just
I will be drunk and full of buffalo sauce.
yeah.
When
Get
I
drunk off buffalo sauce. You just be snorting it off of, you know.
Bert, speaking of buffalo wings and things like that,
Yeah.
what do you call it a barbecue or do you call it a cookout?
Oh, so this was just brought up actually because I have family in Texas. So
Mhm.
on Father's Day on Sunday, which happy belated Father's Day, by the way.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Thank you. So I was talking to my family and my mother's down there. She's like, it's like, what are you doing? Like, oh, we're having, my brothers and my sister-in-laws and kid, nieces and nephews over. Like, we're having them over for a barbecue. But then she like caught herself. She was like, we're having them over for a barbecue cookout. We're having them over for a cookout. And I was like, wait a minute. What are you doing? Like
Yeah,
we've lived
yeah.
in the Northeast our whole life. Like what
Mhm.
it's always been barbecue to us. But as she explains it, I don't know why she would have thought, me
Yeah.
getting confused, but she's like, "Well, I didn't want you thinking we were just having like barbecue and not like other
Yeah.
stuff like a normal
Mhm.
like cookout would be." And I'm just like, "All right, I get that makes sense. That
Yes.
does." So now, had you asked me before this had taken place, I would have been like, "Dude, you're barbecuing. Like we are
Yeah. Right.
barbecuing." But
Yes.
now I understand the logic behind cookout.
So barbecuing, if you're telling me you're at a barbecue, I'm expecting slow cooked meat for
Mhm.
hours on time, and there better be some ribs or some type of slow cooked pulled meat. If that's not that's not a barbecue. You're cooking out. You're just cooking, and I believe the actual textbook definition is slow closed flame, low temperature
Oh.
meat is a barbecue. Cookouts are high open flames,
Mhm.
right? So on a grill, you usually keep it open and flames shoot up and it cooks it
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
fast.
You
Like
put those burgers down, the grease strips down, that thing goes
zoop,
that's the best part of cooking
it
out.
is
Yeah.
it is the best part, and everybody like telling you when to flip your meat and
Yeah.
check on your. Oh man, I made some corn the other day on our grill, and I put it in a bag with some melted butter, cinnamon, nutmeg, and brown sugar. And let me tell you, bud, talk about heaven.
You just made it
Uh,
move.
I
I'm
did,
not
yeah.
kidding. That
It was
sounds
yeah.
yeah, it sounds like you're gonna have to repeat that when you're up here in a couple weeks.
Steve Wallman says, "What do you think about the last 5 weeks of the season? NFL can switch games Sunday to Thursday." I love it because there's
Yeah.
been terrible Thursday games planned out, and there's been really good matchups. And at the 1 o'clock spot, I think the NFL should always leave themselves wiggle room.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't know who's going to be good or not halfway through the season, but once you know who sucks and they're in like primetime games or they're in like move them. Hey,
Yeah.
this Thursday game, I don't want to watch the Texans and the Browns play.
Exactly.
If
Just the
uh,
same thing. I was like, it's always the
I don't.
Browns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always. I mean, nobody wants to watch. And listen, they may be good this year. I don't know. I'm just used. There was an awful game on Thursday, and there was like 3 straight weeks. It was like Broncos. It was like Broncos Titans. I was like, I don't want to see this. And so, yeah, they should have the ability to flex games
Yeah.
at any point. And obviously, this is a good move for the NFL to do that. I think that always should have been a possibility. I'm not exactly sure why that wasn't.
Yeah, I think it makes sense from a TV standpoint. I think when you add the people factor in there, right? Like,
Mhm.
so like 2 weeks before, if you had, I think this is where it hits home for me. Like, if you're a season ticket holder, and that means you're likely in the localized areas. So if you knew ahead of time, 2, 3 weeks, all right, not a big deal. You can make an adjustment. But like, since where you're from, where I live right now, a large, New York City area, some people may plan so team and they're coming up to come into, let's say Giant Stadium for a Giants Cowboys. They may plan that weekend months in advance because they know the schedule, but then
Right.
it changes to a Thursday and your whole weekend's messed up. And you're like, come on, you've got to be kidding me. So I think that's where it kind of sucks. But, you know,
Shout out to, I don't know who's running the Fox Sports The Gambler YouTube, but shout out to you. Thank you for checking in on us. Fox Sports The Gambler. You can catch the Divide live on Fridays. The Daily Ticket, Sean Brace, Jansen, and them boys. They do a really good job. I think they're going to be the Divide's going to do on June 24th, Saturday. I wish I could come, but they're
this
going to be at
Saturday.
this Saturday. Be at the. Are you going to that? Or are you?
So I'm
You're.
not, my work
Yeah,
is taking me across the pond. So I
that's
fly out
right.
to London, which
Mhm.
might work out depending on how, like, if I land on time on Sunday. The London series is coming up by pure
Mm,
coincidence. So
nice.
if I get to the hotel, get my stuff together, I basically have Sunday as just typically like an adjustment day. But
Yeah.
I mean, baseball's playing 3 o'clock London time, and Bert may get on the tube to go watch himself some baseball in London. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
That's truly going to be like absolute spur of the moment. And if that's the case, you'll see an Instagram takeover of our page of what it's like to watch baseball in the UK.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Please help us with that.
Mhm.
Check out Fox Sports The Gambler on the iHeartRadio app, 102.5 FM in Philly, 104.1 FM in Trenton. And support them because they support us. And make sure you subscribe to their YouTube, Fox Sports The Gambler. You can catch me on there sometimes. I'm trying
Oh
to
yeah.
work on a show, the warm up.
Sherm reprising his role as the voice of God.
Yes, voice of God. The watch party was awesome. I wish I could have stuck around the whole show. I try to sneak in and out and help out when I can, but I can't wait to get up to Jersey and hopefully get to meet some of the guys. I don't have to do anything. I'd like to put some to shake the hands of some of the guys that have been helping us out along the way. It's been a great partnership, so I'm very appreciative to Sean Brace and Jansen and Jeff and everybody working at iHeart and Fox Sports The Gambler. So shout out to them. All right, Bert, let's play some over, under, or properly rated. You mentioned it earlier, and it wasn't part of my list, but I'm going to add it on there. Father's Day. Go ahead.
If it's over, under, or properly rated, I think
Yes.
it's underrated. Biased, but yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Oh no, I don't think I have there's overrated here. Did I not upload underrated?
Is it a new board?
It is.
Ah,
Oh, hold on. I'm gonna add it real quick. So you said it's underrated.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think here's why. And I think from a marketing standpoint, there's more to do with mom out there than it is with dad. And I also think they
Mhm.
play into the fact that like dad's, I mean, I'll admit it, dad's like me, where I'm just like, I don't know, I just want to hang out. Like, we don't want big to-dos. But
Right.
it is still nice to be. I mean, now that my kids especially are like making their own cards and like they surprise me with like breakfast in bed that my wife was nice enough to make too, and make them feel like it was a big day for them, which I like too. Um, and they're they're filling out their like school stuff, like, what is my
Mm.
dad's favorite word, what does he like to say, and my daughter originally wrote shit. Her teacher was like, yeah, that's nice, but you may want to change that to
Yeah,
something else.
that's
And
hilarious.
apparently my son thinks my favorite drink is beer, which I mean on some days wrong, but if you ask my kids teachers right now, according to my Father Day crafts, I am a raging alcoholic who swears a
Mm.
lot, so
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, not
Win.
not too far off. So Bert
Underrated.
says, Bert, Father's Day is
Overrated.
overrated, sir.
What?
It's
Mm-mm.
overrated. You know why? Because it's like an afterthought. It's the same. Here's a steak. Here's a beer. Here's some alone time. The shit that we always want. It's not like it's. They treat it exactly what it is. It's a pity holiday. It is. It is. Did you know that Father's Day is the 40th most celebrated holiday in the country?
40th.
40th, dog. I can't even name Christmas, Mother's Day are number 1 and 2, and then I don't even know 40 holidays. But in the world, I should say, not in the US, but in the world,
Mhm.
um it's like it's bad. It's just bad. Mike says you like collecting beer but rarely drink it.
That's
That is
scary.
true.
That's actually accurate. Yeah, I pick my craft beer based off the can if it looks cool, and then when I get around to drinking it, it's like 3 months later. I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah. All right, Bert. Next one. Brock Purdy.
I think I answered this on the poll on social media. I think he's overrated.
Overrated.
And look, we were big Jimmy G guys, right?
Mhm.
But I also think with you going back to, we got to see more sample size here. He came
Yeah.
in, had a great run, did the job, but let's see what happens next season. And look, doing a good job doesn't mean finishing the job, because if he did, he would have been the one hoisting the trophy at the end of the year.
Right.
So as far as I'm concerned, right now, overrated until you show me other. If you repeat and do this again, then there's more room for expanding on that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely overrated.
Overrated.
Jimmy G was putting up excellent stats in that offense, and he never got the credit. I don't know why Brock Purdy is somehow getting the credit for what the Niners were doing last year with him.
Mhm.
Jimmy G was just as successful. He was putting up historic efficiency stats. He was winning a lot of games. So the fact that people are all of a sudden thinking that Brock Purdy is like the guy, I just don't understand the logic behind that. I think it's simply because he's not Jimmy G, and people have already biased. They don't want to be wrong about how good Jimmy G is, or whatever. I think that's just because he's not Jimmy G. They're overrating him a bit. So that's where I'm at with that.
Mhm.
All right, next one. We had this conversation at the firehouse, so I just wanted to reaffirm Babe Ruth.
I think we've talked about this before, and here's where baseball purists get super pissed. Like, it's tough to judge a man who played in a league before they did away with segregation. So I actually put overrated. Don't get me wrong, I respect him as a ball player and
Overrated.
understanding he did it all, but those were truly different times. This is why I don't think too much like I don't think that Shohei Ohtani gets as much credit as he deserves, because he's doing this in modern era, not necessarily just who he's playing against, but the game has changed so much. And specifically when you're going in and I guess growing with the game, they tell you focus on this. If you can't do pitching and bat at the same time, you can't do this. And he's doing it all. He is doing what Babe Ruth is doing, except in the modern era. In a modern era when guys are throwing 110 miles an hour, not Babe Ruth throwing what, solid 60.
Right.
I don't even know. That could not be accurate at all, but overrated.
So you mentioned Shohei Ohtani.
That's what I'm
Mhm.
talking about. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
Leading the league in home runs and striking people out. Think about that for a second. So Babe Ruth, you said it, Bert.
Overrated.
He didn't play against black people, and he was hitting 80-mile-per-hour balls. They're throwing a 80. Like, I mean, enough. He wouldn't make a major league team if he played today. I just
I
don't want
think
to
I
hear
saw
it.
something. I don't know if it was 100% true, but Shohei Ohtani leads his team in all stats,
Yes.
everything
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Future LA Dodger Shohei Ohtani. So, Oh, next one, Bert. All the hype for the New York Jets.
I look, we've talked about this so many times before.
Mhm.
Me, where I'm sitting, the second the Aaron Rodgers trade was not even confirmed, like actually went through, I said, "Hey, Jet fans, enjoy this because you're still not. You're going to be. This was January. You're still going to be in the same position as you are next year." I personally think it's overrated. However, if something like this happened to the Giants, I'd be just as hyped as those Jet
Yeah,
fans are with my
yeah.
blinders on. But I'm not. And from the outsider perspective, completely overrated. We have, I mean, Carl Powers, I love you, but you're celebrating close to signing guys. And this is the
Yeah.
Jets mentality right now. Come on, KP.
Aaron Rodgers had Carl fucking shitting bricks and sweating bullets. This
Bro,
whole
Carl had
process.
it done for 4 months before that
Yeah.
trade was done.
Yeah.
And now that it's done, I don't think it went away. I think he's about to have a fourth kid. I don't know.
Yeah. Carl's out there trying to text Schefter, like trying to get inside information, all types of shit. So
Schefter tied up in his basement right now.
yeah, basically. I'm gonna say, as a Bills fan, I'm trying to be objective, and I will say
Properly rated.
they had the 6th best defense last year, and they're adding Aaron Rodgers, who both of us have tremendous respect for. I think he's
1,000%. Yeah.
top 5 quarterback I've ever seen, and I don't think a lot of the issues with the Packers was him falling off a cliff. I think the Packers had real issues, and I think Aaron Rodgers was the least of them. So I believe in Aaron Rodgers. I may not believe. I believe in Breece Hall, and I believe in their receiver, the young guy. I can't believe I'm dropping his name right now. Number 17, Garrett Wilson. I believe they have talent. I don't believe in their coach. So that's going to be the big thing there. And obviously an injury, they're an injury away. Everybody is, but the coaching is probably the weakest link. So we'll see. But I do believe in the team itself. So I will say the hype is worth it, properly rated, because I do think, take it from my Bills, I think talent has carried my coach. So I can't sit there and say that it happens for the Bills and it can't happen for the Jets. Bert, a baseball fell into a guy's beer and he chugged it, and he got criticized for it. So drinking a foul ball beer.
Overrated. I don't know if that's I guess what I'm trying to say is, hey, who would criticize him for drinking what do you want him to not drink his beer? It already half spilled out. Are they going to give him a new beer because a ball landed in it?
There's pine tar in it on carcinogens, and people are just but I think that's what you do. That's a thing. Like if a ball lands into your drink, you chug it with the ball in there. That's definitely
properly rated.
Otherwise, it's 7 years of bad luck. That's what happens.
It is.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you're right.
Underrated.
Hold on. It's underrated. I think that's cool, man. I think that's cool.
Say, if we're calling it underrated, let's call it underrated. I think it's fine, and those people criticizing him should just shut up.
Underrated.
Bert, the Detroit Lions new helmet.
I have to look at this again because I glanced at it first, and I was like,
I will go and say, again, this is how I feel about people who make comments about logos and things we had this issue with the Baltimore Orioles City Connect jerseys. If you don't know what it is, then shut up. It's an awesome helmet. And I think it's
rated.
This is nice.
It's super nice. Mike says you got to give it a chug 100%. If double-edged sword, you get booed if you don't. Yeah, but I just saw some criticism online about the beer. The helmet is nice. It's a throwback to the Lions' old logo. I love the matte blue. I believe they're wearing it twice this year. Last week of the season versus the Vikings, and then I believe October 30th they said they'll wear it. And I think it's going with their all silver or gray, I guess you want to call it. They're all gray uniforms. That's where that helmet's going to go. So I think it's awesome, man. I think it's underrated.
Dude, I don't know if you follow real quick before we move to the next one. Emily Morgan is a graphic designer. She's on Instagram. She got a bunch of follows initially because she started something. She is very good at what she does. She just did the Giants one twice. And the reason she did it twice because the first one, it looked cool, but it was kind of fans chirped at her originally, yo, you need to fix it. And she fixed it, and it looks absolutely sick. Emily Morgan Creates is her handle. Definitely check it out. I actually want to see her Giants logo in production somewhere. Like, I'd buy a shirt of that, 1,000%. because it makes sense. But she's done other ones before, and I think she did a Lions one too. She did do a Lions one.
She
It
did
was
do a Lions
absolutely
one, and it had the
yep.
lions in the main, like the wording.
Yeah.
I've seen them. Some of them are hit or miss. There's some that I
Yeah.
liked, and some of them
Like
I
the
didn't.
Steelers one, I'm like,
I didn't like. She did the Washington one she did a while ago was nice. She did a Titans one I thought was pretty cool. I did not like the Vikings. I did not like the Chargers one she did.
Yeah, the Eagles one I'm not a fan
The
of.
Eagles one, yeah, but she's good. She's good at what she does. And it's
She's
hard
good,
to
but
be
Yeah, go
creative.
ahead.
No, I was saying it's
Yeah,
hard to be
it is.
creative to like the Giants is a hard fan base to please. That's a historic, like you can't mess that up. You can't. And
But I
so
like how she does. I mean, to your point, like if you don't know anything about graphic design, like or even just design in general, like just don't comment on the way it looks because there are like meanings through everything, as you well know of all people, because you know you design everything and anything revolving around the show. But like she does the same thing and incorporating a lot of that stuff and even history with history or landmarks within like a certain team and like it really pulled it through, which is really awesome to see. But this Detroit helmet looks sick.
yeah. I'm just now looking at the Giants one. I do agree that the I don't think the first round was bad, but
It wasn't terrible, but the second one I did like.
The second one is better. So shout out to her. Now here's some non-sports ones, Bert. We'll run through them. We watched Wolf of Wall Street the other day at the Firehouse. So this one's for Leonardo DiCaprio.
I think properly
rated.
Recognition. I want to. Do not let him. You know, he did dump them, but.
Yeah, The Revenant, when he got attacked by a bear and survived, I really thought that was Leonardo DiCaprio doing that. So I'm also going to say avocados.
Overrated because they're expensive, dude. Like I love them, but like there's gotta you're telling me we can't grow them everywhere. Like there's gotta be a cheaper way now.
I liked them until the California kids started putting it on toast. So
see, I like avocado toast. It's just something about it's just nice.
Salsa.
I'm a big salsa guy too. I think it's underrated. I think people just
underrated.
There we go.
Yeah, I think people just they overlook salsa right now, and I think they started doing it ever since it got like free chips and salsa at certain like Mexican restaurants, and they're just like, oh, salsa, can't be bothered with it. But no, I'm a big salsa.
Underrated.
Definitely underrated. Get yourself some tortillas. Some scramble some eggs in there with some chicken, some Colby Jack cheese, and some salsa for a little breakfast burrito action.
Underrated.
Very good. But get like the chunky. Don't get more like a pico, which I still consider salsa. I don't like the watery salsa.
Yeah.
So obviously making it yourself is probably the better option. But pico with a little regular salsas in there. Last one, Bert. Submarines. No, I'm joking. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do you have a game ball you want to give out?
I do. Man, you are sharp today, dude. Yeah. Henrik Lundqvist today, first time on the ballot, voted into the Hall of Fame, had an absolute hell of a career. The biggest regret, I think, as Ranger fans is obviously not see him get a Stanley Cup, but that was to no fault of his own. Vezina winner. He's played 100 during that time, had a 2.3 goals against average and a 0.921 save percentage, which is absolutely insane. So he's had a Hall of Fame career. I'm not shocked by any means that he was elected in this year. And I'm super pumped, super happy for him. Is just, played his whole career in a Rangers uniform. And as a Ranger fan, this is honestly just short of winning a Stanley Cup. This is the best that it gets for us this year, at least.
My game ball is going to go out to all the dads for Father's Day, all the people who celebrate Pride Month. If that affects you, shout out to y'all. Shout out to Men's Mental Health Month. So to all the men out there, #men2. I know I like to make that joke, but this month it's actually appropriate. So men, take care of yourself. Take care of your mental health. There's no shame in it. Talk to somebody. I don't care who you talk to. Talk to a professional. Talk to a buddy. Tell your male friends that you love them. In the spirit of that, Bert, I love you, my brother.
I love you too, buddy.
I do want to shit on one more person, and even though I just literally said take care of men, I'm going to make fun of a man real quick. Who's this kid? Brandon Miller. When asked who his GOAT, I wanted to get to it earlier, but now it seems awkward that I'm doing it after I just gave that little heartwarming thing. I'm going to shit on a man. Brandon Miller is the kid who went to, I believe, Alabama. Asked who his he was the one that got caught up in the the murder. His friends used his gun, or he
Oh yes,
transported him.
yeah. The basketball player, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
During the draft process, asked who his GOAT was, LeBron or Michael Jordan, and he said that his GOAT is Paul George. Yes, the playoff P, that Paul George. And when that happened, and he's supposed to be like a top pick. When that
Did his
for-
draft stock drop immediately?
it had to drop 30 spots. But when I was sitting there, I was like, wow, I can't believe he said that. And then it dawned on me, yeah, his draft stock had to have dropped, because that's the IQ of a person who would get caught up as an accomplice to murder.